All right, I want to say Hotep, Uncle Giles and Neb, Dua Dua U, Dua Aku, Dua Netzer, Fatmo Alafie, Fatmo Iwa Pele, Igun Majube, Iba E, Igungun, Kiki, Igungun. I want to share my screen, get into a Hotel Dina soup. And then we'll let my brother go in. All right, let me go back up here.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master in this environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man. I'm bridging my team, red, black, and green. Queen, the king, salute, now scream, I should. Bring forth another hit, I should. I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green. Queen, the king, salute, now scream, I should. Bring forth another hit, I should. Five for what you want, I should.
All right. I'm gonna do a Hotel Dino soup before I turn it over to my brother Herit, Shawn, Khalfani. I want to do a Hotel Dino soup to the late great Marcus Garvey, Lord Marcus Garvey. His birthday just passed on the 17th, and I want to do a Hotel Dino soup to the singer and the songwriter Aretha Franklin, who just passed on the 16th. So at the top up here we have the sesh. In the middle we have the transliteration, and at the bottom we have the translation. So I'm gonna read the transliteration and the translation. The transliteration says Hotep Dino Sut Wuser Neb Jadu Necha Neb Adu DF Correct in Hinket Ka Apet Sech Menket Neb Neferet Wabet Unget Necha M in Ka E me Ka in Ima Ka Makaru. And the translation is an offering in which a king's give Wusir, Lord of Jadu, the great deity, Lord of Obitus, that he may give a voice offering of calf, fallon, linen, alabaster, and all is good and pure things on which a deity lives. To the revered ones, the ancestors are Marcus Garvey and Aretha Franklin, justified or a truer voice. Always want to do a Hotel Dino soup to honor the ancestors, whether it's there some type of offering again, a calendar fire linen, pouring some type of libations to them. All right, this is my motto. With everything I do, as I learn, we all learn. So I'm gonna turn it over to stop sharing my screen, turn it over to my brother Shawn. He's gonna go in. Give me just a second. Uh, Stop sharing. You lock it on you, Shawn. You ready, man?
ETM Hotel, Rennie, Shawn, welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to do our saying Kofi for allowing me to present on his channel once again, and dua to everyone who is live in the chat, who will be tuned into the show, who may come back and revisit the presentation at a later hour and watch the show. We're not going to be long. We're going to get straight to the point. Kofi, for my screen sharing, man, I'm going to go ahead and dive into things.
Yeah, yes, man.
All right. Okay, so let's get to it. The understand the myths from an African perspective. What are myths? As a child, we really didn't get into too much mythology only from a biblical perspective, because we were very ignorant of our ancestors' mythological stories, whether it be the creation stories or whether it be, tall tales or legends, so to say. And we were not privy to that, being shackled from the mindset of the Abrahamic faiths. So coming up, we all know the so-called creation story of the Christian belief or faith, and that is one that seems more common to a lot of people. But over time, some of us have grown familiar with the creation story or the mythological story of the Yoruba or the Remech. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to want to gain a perspective and an understanding of, like I said earlier, what are myths.
Five, four, three, two, one.
What is a myth? If asked this question, most people will reply that a myth is a story that is not true, even though you might want it to be. Scholarly arguments about the definition of a myth have been going on for more than 2,000 years. Many definitions have been among the most common are the myths are stories about gods. Myths are similar traditional stories that hand on a collective knowledge or experience. The variety of cultures across the African continent offers an equal variety of mythological narratives of all types and genres. A myth is defined here primarily as a sacred narrative involving divine, superhuman, or ancestral figures and the process that have shaped the world of human observation and experience. The definition addresses content more than context or form, and the range of examples would include the sometimes comic etiological narratives told in a casual setting, as well as more formalized and even ritual utterances associated with a restricted or qualified listenership. There are, in practice, few hard and vast rules for identifying a narrative as a myth rather than a folktale or a legend. Local terminology may or may not distinguish types of stories that correspond to recognized global mythological narratives from other sorts. Distinctions may involve the perceived age of the stories as well as their true value. Context may be the most reliable guide. The need for a specialized narrator, a ritual occasion, or such precondition marks that narrative with a significance above and beyond that of the ordinary story. The requirement of religious belief rather than literary enjoyment may also be another useful criterion. Although one not entirely necessary in those parts of the world where myths are seen principally as the narrative relics or extinct belief systems. In Africa, the term applies not only to simple ideologies, but to the narrative infrastructure of the living belief systems. Myth refers to colorful stories that tell about the origins of humans and the cosmos. Attitudes towards myths vary greatly. Some regard it as a source of spiritual growth, while others see only falsehood. Some see in myth the distinct character of particular cultures, while others see universal patterns. Some regard myth as contemporary and alive, while the others think of it as an ancient and or dead. Now, the continuing functionality of African myths raised the question whether specific narratives should be an approach through their Africanness or through their operative context. Hunter-gatherer narratives, ide- etiologies of divination systems or healing cults or rural rituals. However, sub-Saharan African offers ample scope for studies in comparative mythology, being a regional level. Among the various peoples of the Niger River, or on the basis of linguistic affinity, the many Bantu family languages in Southern Africa and or a combination of both. Among the several kingdoms of the Great Lakes region, it may be helpful to distinguish different sorts of myths occurring in different contexts and fulfilling different functions. Creation myths, character myths, cult myths, ideological narratives. All right, so creation myths, perhaps the most widely recognized type of a myth, tell how the world came into being, like I mentioned earlier. The character myths have more social importance and explain the establishment of human institutions. Cult myths explain the origin of specific beliefs and practices, often invoking the available symbolism of creation myths. Ideological narratives occur in a variety of less formal contexts and reflect attitudes and interpretations of the teller's world. Now, from the Greek mythos, myth means story or word. Mythology is the study of myth as stories or narratives. Myths articulate how character undergo an innate and ordered sequence of events. The term myth has come to refer to a certain genre or category of stories that share characteristics that make the genre distinctively different from other genres or oral narratives, such as the legends and folk tales. Many definitions of myth repeat similar general aspects of the genre and may be summarized thus. Myths are symbolic tales of the distinct past, often primordial times, that concern cosmogony and cosmology, the origin nature of the universe, may be connected to belief systems or rituals, and may serve to direct social actions and values. In Kemet, concepts that might in other cultures belong to the realm of abstract philosophy were expressed by symbols, images, and to a lesser extinct myths. The divine order envisaged by the Egyptians placed their country at the center of the created world. Now, many people have a problem with Egyptian mythology, but you will hear about that later. Writers from various disciplines and intellectual movements have interpreted myth in different ways. Myths has been seen as a disease of language, as garbled memories of historical events, as a mode of pre-logical thought, as expressions of the subconscious mind, as symbolic descriptions of the natural world or symbolic statements about the social order, and as the spoken part of a ritual. There's a few types of myths. We can define all of these, but we're going to keep it short and sweet. We have nature myths. Everyone should be familiar with the nature myth. If not, you can look toward African cosmology. They'll give you the perfect example of nature myths. Then you have the religious myths. Everyone should be familiar with those. You have the origin myths, and you have the historical myths, and then of course you have the God myths. Now there are many others, but these are some of the more familiar myths that are out there that run around. Myths were considered by Victorian scholars as survivals of previous times, perhaps decayed or reflective of primitive ancestors who took them literally. I'm going to say that again. Myths were considered by Victorian scholars as survivals of previous times, perhaps decayed or reflective of primitive ancestors who took them literally. Some saw them as evidence for social evolutionary theories of the 19th century. These Victorian scholars like Tyler believed that humans in all cultures progressed through stages of evolution from savagery to barbarianism and finally to civilization. This final, most advanced stage was, of course, best represented by the men Victorians writing the theories. Such theories no longer seem reasonable. We have not, for instance, progressed beyond brutality, murder, war, and grave injustices just because we have more advanced technology. In fact, we use our technology partly to more efficiently kill other humans. Now, we also recognize the complexity, thoughtfulness, and beauty of many other cultures we may once have considered inferior to our own. Based on over a century of ethnology, anthropological fieldwork, and research in psychology, genetics, and other disciplines, scholars now accept that humans from all eras and parts of the world have equal intellectual capacity and potential. We understand as well today that our own theories may seem as foolish to our descendants as their conception of the universe sometimes seems to us. Many of the key events in Egyptian myth, such as the burial of the murdered god with seer, were supposed to have happened in specific places in Egypt or its neighboring countries. Thus, a mythical geography can be superimposed on the physical geography. Every major Egyptian temple was designed as a miniature cosmos in which the main events in the mythical history were repeatedly played out, so there came to be many tombs of Wasir. It is this kind of apparent contradiction that has led many distinguished scholars to write about Egyptian myth in a tone of baffled irritation. Now that we have a working definition of what mythology is, let's take out a few Kemetic mythologies. First one we'll take a look at is Avenging of Seer by Unfanu. On page 1 of his book, and it reads, "From out of chaos a nation is born. This is a story of the firstborn son of Nut and Geb, heaven and earth, Osir and his family. Osir was born in Nubia, out of the union of Nut and Geb. When Osir came of age, he married Aset, and the two of them left home and traveled to Kemet to settle and create something for themselves. When they entered Kemet, they found the land in a state of chaos. The land was uncultivated, it lacked definition, and there were no borders or channels. There they found the people in a savage state. The people preyed upon one another, robbing and killing the next just for bread and sometimes for sport. Due to the lack of knowledge of agriculture and land cultivation, the land was impoverished and lacked food, and the people resorted to eating one another. After objectively observing the situation, Bashir made an assessment and knew exactly what to do. I see potential, Bashir said with a smile on his face. Aset's eyes bugged, widened from Bashir's response. Potential for what? Aset looked quizzically as she turned from the sight of a man biting a chunk out of another man's leg. Bashir grabbed her and smiled. Chaos precedes order, my dear. The very existence of chaos contains within it the seed, the potential of order, Bashir said. Bashir then walked up to the man that was eating another man and asked him some questions. Why are you eating this man? Said Bashir. Why does any man eat? I'm hungry, so I have to eat, the man replied. Yes, that is true. But why are you eating this man? Bashir asked. Because we've eaten all the animals, so man is all that's left, he replied. What then will you eat when you are the only man left? Bashir asked gently with a smile on his face. The man thought about it for a second and tears fell from his eyes, for he knew that without another man, he would surely die. Bashir, seeing that he has reached the man's conscience, began to teach him. The birth of the world according to the philosophical traditions of Memphis, the inscription of the Shabaka, otherwise known as the Shabaka stone. God who came into existence is Ptah. Ptah who is on the great throne, Ptah Nun, the father who made Atum, Ptah Nunet, the mother who gave birth to Atum, Ptah Ptah the great elder, the heart of the Ened, who gave birth to the gods, the tongue of Ened, who gave birth to the gods, who is under the rose of Ra every day. He comes into existence through the heart. As for Atum, he comes to the existence through the tongue. Great and powerful Ptah transmitted his power to all the gods of their cause. And their truth through their heart, his tongue through which Horus came into existence and Jehudi came into existence as Ptah. It happened that the heart and the tongue had power among all the members of Teach. Ptah exists as a heart in every body and as a tongue in every mouth. Of every god, all humanity, of all animals, all worms, of all living things to think in the capacity of heart and to command in capacity of tongue, everything Ptah desires. His Ptah's Ened is before him, as teeth lips. They are the seeds in the hands of Atum. Then the Ened of Atum came into existence through seed in his fingers. The Ened of Ptah is surely the teeth and the lips of this mouth that proclaims that the name of everything, and from the whence emerged Shu and Tefnu. The Ened created the sight of eyes, the hearing of the ears, the nostril sense of smell, so that they might bring information of all the way to the heart. For it is the heart which permits the coming forth of everything conceived, and it is the tongue which expresses what the heart has thought. Thus were born all the gods, Atum and his Ened, for every divine word came through what the heart had thought, and what the tongue commanded. Thus born in all the Ka spirits, and thus was settled. The female spirits of Himitsu produces all nourishment and food offerings by means of speech. This is the lover recomposed and one who hates punished. Thus in life given the peaceful one, the death of criminals. Thus are accomplished all tasks in all arts, the activity of hands, the walking of legs, and the function of all members, according to this command thought by the heart, uttered by the tongue, and which confers meaning of all things. Seth renders the word Ima as Bidonton, while Junker opts for Wesson. The meaning of a phrase is according to order received by the heart, expressed by the tongue, and visible in all things thereafter. It was said, Atum was born. The gods were brought into existence by Ptah. It is precisely he, Ptah-Tenen, who gave birth to the gods. From him emerged all things serving nourishment and food, as offered for the gods, as all things good and beautiful. Thus was it found and not acknowledged that his power is greater than other gods. And so Ptah was pleased, and after he accomplished all things and uttered all divine words in certainty, he, Ptah, gave birth to the gods. He built cities and established nomes. He installed the gods in their temples and established their sacrifices. He founded their temples. He molded their bodies according to their desires. Thus did the gods entire their bodies. All types of wood and stone and clay, of all types of other things which come together under his authority. For Herit had teft, and in which they took form. Thus we gathered in him all the gods and their cause, happy and united in the Lord of two lands. This translation was given by the great Theophilo Banger. You also can read that in his book, African Philosophy, the Pharaonic Period. Pages like 80 through 82. Goes into further detail. This is another story of Kemetic mythology at work. Now that we have taken a look at two separate accounts, we'll look at our third and final account. In this instance, we'll take a good look at Neter Jehudi. The hieroglyphic writing system originated in Kemet around 3100 BC at the birth of the first dynasty during the reigns of Narmer, Ka, Din, and possibly Sinjed, or Sinedi. The hieroglyphic script was not borrowed from Mesopotamia. It was a domestic invention initiated and developed by the ancient Remech in their own homeland, on the banks of the Nile. From its origins, the writing system was equipped with a complete array of intellectual and technical resources. ideograms, phonograms, and a writing medium and scribal instruments. From that came this. This is Jehuti. In his left hand, you will see he has what? His scribal information. Behind him, you see the sesh. The god Jehudi, as he is called by the Remech, was originally a moon god who eventually came to be associated with writing and knowledge and to preside over scribes and scholars of all types. The god appeared in two distinct manifestations as an ibis and as a baboon, an ibis bird now and a baboon. And though both were lunar related, that of the ibis was primary. His standard, or that of the ibis that later represented him, appears on slate plates of pre-dynastic period, and Jehudi was clearly already an important deity in Old Kingdom times when he is mentioned frequently in the Pyramid text 128, 594 through 596. This is Jehuti again. Now, Jehuti is the god of wisdom and secret knowledge who invented writing and the different languages of humanity. As a lunar deity, Jehuti is the deputy of the sun god Ra. He mediated between the two fighters, Herit and Set, and returned the estranged eye of Ra to her father. As a divine physician, Jehudi used his magical powers to heal the wounded eye of Herit. Jehudi could be shown as a beautiful baboon or as an ibis or ibis-headed man. Ra was said to have created the baboon form of Jehuti to shine in the night sky and the ibis form to act as a messenger between earth and the heaven. This is Jehuti again, scribing. Importantly for his mythology, Jehuti is said to have invented the art of writing. He was thus the scribe of the Ened who recorded the divine words and was responsible for all kinds of accounts and records. As Lord of Time and Regner of Years, he recorded the passing of time and assigns long reigns to kings. Long reigns to kings. He is the patron of all areas of knowledge, and written treaties of all kinds fell under his care, and is Lord of the House of Life, which function as scribatory and libraries which were attached to the temples. In the famous scene of the Papyri of Ani, the only person, and Sable likes to point this out, the only person in any scene, judgment scene, recording anything is Jehuti. And it is very evident here that he is the creator of writing. Now, what I want to ask you guys is he a real human being? Or is he just a mythological being that's used to explain something greater than something else, right? Because here in the judgment scene, if we're familiar with it, we see his name scribed. It says words spoken by Jehuti.
But let's see what the people say, Shawn. Let's see. You posed the question to him. You asked all.
Yeah, now they're answering. I'm looking.
Okay.
Somebody says no. Overstand says no. I don't know if anyone else gonna answer, but here on the Papers of Ani, remember y'all, in this judgment scene, it says words spoken by Jehuti. Is Jehuti a real person or a mythological being used to express something with greater meaning? Now, the reason for this third one is because someone attributed writing to Amen. in their presentation. The brother made a mistake. I don't know if it was intentional or non-intentional. I'm just going to say it was a mistake. It could have been an honest mistake. But on the particular slide that was actually used in the presentation when he was speaking in reference to the creation of writing, um, and my aunt dealing with law, he made the suggestion that Amen was the creator of writing, and that would be incorrect. And since no one else has answered, we're going to stand with overstand. Oh, Jador. Oh, okay, there we go. Joshua Ben Israel says, I think it is both. Then I would have to ask you, Joshua, if you think it is both, you know, how would you define that answer if it's both?
What you gonna give them a minute to try to respond?
Yeah. Now, here are my sources for the presentation. It's brief, it's to the point. I didn't want to draw it out and make it really long. There was a particular reason why I did this. This page is important to a lot of people that are actually watching, so you can pause the video and you can write down the works. I'll give you the page numbers on where you can go and you can get this information. As you can see, it's all books. It's all books. But yeah, I'm still waiting to see what Joshua will say in regard to that answer. Now that you have the sources in closing of the presentation, before we come back and chat a bit, I'm gonna go ahead and let this last video ride out for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the Set Shoe. Make sure you subscribe to Kofi Pasai TV. Make sure you subscribe to the Mossy Warrior Clan YouTube channels. I like to thank everyone for tuning in to the presentation. We're going to continue to build. I do want to address a few things real quick in the presentation. So let me get out of my screen and stop sharing real quick. All right, now that we got that out of the way, um, Kofi wanted me to turn it up a little bit. I'm sorry on the screen, but if y'all need me to go back to that to a particular slide and replay it again for you to hear it, I can do that. But real quick, Joshua, good brother, there was no man walking around with an ibis or a baboon in the lichens that actually did that. It's just mythology. Um, I do understand what you're trying to say, but we have to just keep it straight and narrow. Um, Jehuda is a representative of something just like Ra is the representative of something, just like Shu is the representative of something, just like Tefnut is the representative of something, just like Amin Ra, with Seer, Ma'at, all the Neteru, they are all representative of forces of nature or something that is distinctive to the land that we can easily learn from. You got to remember, as Baba John Henry Clark always states, that the African is the greatest storyteller of all times, and through ancient Kemet, through the Yoruba culture, through I don't care who it is, from east to west to central to north and South Africa, the African is the greatest storyteller. And if we go and uncover each um cosmological stories, whether it be the creation stories or whether it be the simple deities or the gods of each culture, we're going to see similar stories. It's just who they are, how they moved, what they did. Um, you know, divine. I don't. I think you said something about divine earlier. You said that the origination is divine from wisdom itself. Now I won't argue that because I like that being. You're right. I think that writing is divine. Speech is also divine because there was a time that um, Homo sapiens sapien. I don't mean to get scientific in this approach, but who we are in our current state, we did not have early on they didn't have that speech ability or writing ability. So having both of those, which we take for granted today, are significant in our time today. We overlook it in our time then. Um, y'all know, or have you guys read the book Medu Nefer, Good Speech? That's a great source, or the Maximum of Patai Hotel. Those are great. Those are great descriptions of how writing and speech are significant to the culture. Now, Asar's on the panel, so I know he got some stuff he want to get off. So don't nobody have anything for me, man. Asar he got it. I'm done. Unless Kofi want me to go back to a slide or whatever, but I'm
They
done.
said
It's Asar.
they said they heard it, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
ATEM Hatap to my sons right here. The Sabah's in the building. Sabah Any Herit and Sabah Kofi Pisces. Uncle the Jed, life, stability, and strength to you both. Our brother Joshua was saying that it's both. In the chat. Respect the brother Joshua. Respect you, brother. And yes, you are divine. But what people have to understand is that the mythos is clear. So when we go to the cosmogony of Khnum, for instance, they call them the Great Nine, and they're talking about a particular set of Interu. And those particular Interu are spoken for by Jehuti. So Jehuti is the mouthpiece of the Necharu. I forget the particular text, where it covers that he's the mouthpiece of the Netcharu. The only other time that you have a Netcher writing, if you will, or being speaking in that fashion, is when you have Jehuti teaching Aset and Nebetet the chants and the text to say to bring Asar to life. Okay, and then it says Jehuti teaches Aset and she writes it down. Aside from that, the scribe for the Sesh, the mouthpiece for Amun, the mouthpiece for Ptah, the mouthpiece for etc., 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 is Jehuti, and the female version is Sheshat. So we should never leave out Sheshat, even though we haven't found a bunch of texts concerning her involvement in a lot of things. It always says she's the female scribe. So Sheshat,
absolutely.
And the one time where we find somebody else writing as a Netcharu, or at least in that aspect of principles, we find Aset doing it to revivify Asar from being dead. And then her and Nebuchadnezzar start to sing the songs, the 70 songs of Aset and Nebuchadnezzar, which you sing towards the winter time. Why during the winter? Because that's when the days become shorter. Start to get into the understanding of the principles of the days becoming shorter, and they're calling Asar home. They're asking the sun to come home and be prevalent again. So these are the things that you should know, when it concerns who's writing for who. Sheshat and Jehuti write for the Netcharu. Okay. Unless you have another text you can show us concerning.
Now, you make great points. They are recording. Jehuti come first and then her. You're absolutely correct in that. I did a presentation before that I'm probably gonna have to do again, because I'm gonna have to add some more information to it, which was I had a scribal presentation. I don't know if Jehuti remembers it. I mean, or if anybody remember, or even Kofi. But the life of a scribe.
Yeah, the life of a scribe.
In that specific presentation, I speak more to her than I do Jehuti in that one. I kind of, because everybody knows him. But in the essence of that presentation, I brought out her role, and then the many roles of scribes in ancient Kemet. So yeah, man. I mean, you always bring the fire, man. Always.
I was trying to find Sachet in here. I'm gonna share. I could pull some more books out the shelf, but I just grabbed these two because they was closer to me. Trying to find Sachet real quick. I was gonna try to share my screen, but I'm just gonna all these darn pages. Give me 1 second here. But okay, yeah, Sachet. And this is out of this is just a book for anybody by Saber Infodisi Jehudimus book here. Spiritual warriors or healers, for people that want to get a basic gist of what some of these Netchers were, or Netcherus were, and what role specifically they played. And in his book here, he has the name, he has the pictures of the depiction of the Netcherus, and he has the sesh here in here, you know what I'm saying, where you can go look the sesh up and see the sesh. But and here he has, Seshet says that everything is ordained by numbers. Creation begins when numbers begin. When it is possible to give something a name of an origin, she is the female Neteret of numbers, measurements, mathematics, letters, literatures, and the mate of Jehuti. She is often shown as a woman wearing a 7-pedestal flower on her head, which is also in the sesh.
Is that a marijuana?
No, it's not a marijuana. Yes, some
I
people
was I was asking for a friend.
say oh, she's shown as a woman wearing a seven pedestal flower on her head, carrying a reed pen and a palette recording some deeds for eternity. Sometimes she wears a seven rated star on her head, surmounted by two inverted horns. She is closely connected with the number seven, Saket. She represents the seven colors in light and the seven musical tones. She is the lady of the house of books and the lady of letters and the nature of architecture of the buildings and constructions. In the duat, she records the names of the deceased on her register. She are the names of Jehudi. These are the names Jehudi will declare before Exar. So this is out of the book Spiritual Warriors or Healers. And this is a good book to start off for those that may want to know all the roles and the functions of the the nature ooze. And this again is by Saber Infodigi Jehutimus. And this here is another book here. Hope y'all can see this. My lighting kind of terrible. Um, this is the book that Shawn also talked about, and he recommended, and I highly recommend this book as well. This is Theophile Banga's pharaonic period of 2780 to 330, and he also has in the book some of the creation stories that brother Shawn just talked about briefly. He has the creation stories as well as the sesh on the side as well. So we deal with the sesh uh, as well. So he deals with the sesh as well in here. So this is a good book to have, and you can go look up the creation stories. He gave you Shawn talked about um, the Shabbat stone he has in here. He has the Shabbat stone in this book here if you want to get it, and you can see a lot of it is he has the sesh. He has the sesh on a few pages
But you can
here.
deal with it yourself. If you
Right.
don't like your translation, you can deal with it yourself if you're familiar with how to transliterate and translate. You just
Right.
go by that. Because
Right.
he
Because
takes a lot of things that are written in the heretic or demonic scripts or something like that, and he put it into the sesh. So
yeah. So and I use this as well in my book. I kind of adjusted some of his translations, not saying that the translation was wrong, just some of the wording. I wouldn't use some of the wording that he used in there. So I changed it up a little bit. I mean, he talks about Shawn went over a few other creation myths. There are four that I know of creation myths, but me and brother Asar on here, Sable Asar Mkar on here, we kind of went and broke down those the four cosmologies as well. But brother Asar went into another cosmology that I had no, I had not never heard of. So he broke down this other one. So um, go ahead.
there's about 6 to 8 of them. The other two, when I do the cosmogony video a long time ago, I speak on the other two, but I think it's 6 to 8. The other two I've read before as well. But those are when you start to go there, you have to understand basics of what the Necharu are. You need to understand basics of how these cosmogonies come into play, and the fact that Khnum is first, Khnum cosmogony is first, and then you go to Memphis, or in fact, before you go to Memphis, you go to Memphis, and then after you go to Memphis, you go to Heliopolis, or Enu, if you will. Inu and On, if you will. It's not even On, that's the Greek word too. I just came from the gym, so I'm a little jumbled. But you start and you end in Thebes. You end in Thebes. The reason you end in Thebes and you rectify Thebes is because what happens over the time with these cosmogonies, you have the next group that's running Kemet venerate the old, but they transpose their new idea over the old things. So Amen becomes the noon. Ptah becomes the noon, right? Atum Ra becomes the noon. And and so this particular aspect of nature gets the power of the old nature. And then they show in Thebes, like they tell you, they say Kanum is the fingers, and such is the hands, and such is such and such of Amen. So they start to venerate and give praise to the ancestors, but as they venerate and give praise to the ancestors before them, they're usurping. They're saying, okay, this is how we move now. This is what you should call upon now. You should call upon Amun Ra. The only time that didn't work in ancient Kemet is when Akhenaten tried to put the Aten over all things.
Dang, I was trying to, and I can't remember what papyrus is in when you was talking about the fingers. Let me see. Here I was trying to find it, and I was going to read some of just to go over what you were saying.
That's the Laden papyrus.
That's the who?
The Laden papyrus.
Because I'm finna try to get it out of here. The so-called Egyptian Book of the Dead, which we know it is not called the Egyptian Book of the Dead, but the Runu Im Haru, which was mistranslated. Well, Wallace Budge gave this name, but I was trying to find it. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I have that also in my raw document book. I have that source in here too, but I don't feel like trying to pull. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And this might be he who sees his father who is under the moon. And which papyrus you say it in? I'm gonna just try to see if it's in here like that.
It's in the Laden papyrus. The Laden mathematical papyrus. It also has that in there as well.
You mean in the Ryman papyrus? Which one?
Now, Burma Rind has another cosmogony. The Laden papyrus has the one about Amun, and it talks about the fingers and such being the feet, and such is the heart.
Shoot.
Hold on, let me see it.
It's in this book. I mean, because I done read it in this book here. It's in this book. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to find it so I can read some of it. And then here you have the sesh at the top too, so we can go back. We can go back for those. We just don't go off the interpretation of the translations here. We can go back and verify here with the sesh exactly what they are saying here at the bottom. So it's very important for you to understand the sesh, and that's what they was trying to get two of the brothers on the Dagger Squad earlier, trying to get them to. You just can't go off of lookership or go off of some other translation. You have to understand the text.
Just while I'm looking for that, I'll speak on the brother was talking about the cannibalism that was mentioned in our brother's book, Aunt Menu's book. Concerning cannibalism.
Hold on, Asad. My bad. I don't mean to cut you real quick. I just wanted to throw this out there because I think the brother misunderstood what I said. Vyasa, Nicola Gullah, no, they did not use marijuana or any type of hemp for birth control. They used a particular plant to determine if a female was pregnant or not. And then they would take procedures for controlling birth methods that did not have anything to do with hemp or any type of smoking essence. No, let's shut that down now. Go ahead, Asad. My bad.
Nah, you good, money. I was saying the brother had mentioned the supposed cannibalism. And I'm not sure where Ankh Menu pulled this story from. I haven't read the brother's book yet. Shout out to our brother Ankh Menu. But I know there's 4 stories or 5, I want to say, that I know of about Imhotep, Setep, and Ra. There's 5 stories that I know of about Asar and Aset living, right? One is from the Libyans, and the Libyans do them no justice. They say a lot of foul things that the Remech didn't agree with. I finished reading that story, and I can't remember if that's where it was pulled from. The other one, as you all know, is from Plutarch. And then there's one outside the Dendera Temple, which walks through pretty much their whole story. It's on the roof, if you will, and it goes around the temple, and you can read it. And then there's another one, but I just came from the gym, so my memory is kind of jumbled right now. I get hit a lot.
You get hit a lot.
You know how striking is. For Rumble Johnson, that's one of the dudes I trained. Bang Ludwig, Donald Cerrone. These are all dudes that we bang and get busy with when they was younger, and as they got older. When he knocks out Tommy Spear in the UFC and you see me cornering him, y'all took a lot of shots in order to make that happen, and he had to take a lot of shots. So when I come from the gym with some of these dudes after they get the popping and whopping on my head, because I'm old now, I ain't as fast. Sometimes I be a little, disoriented.
What's going on, Setep? Setep and Ra, Amin, Mary. Amin.
What's up? What's up?
Not much, man. I'm still trying to find this. I know if I go to my what's the name, I can pull it up
right now.
Yeah, I'm live.
Oh.
We live, baby. We lit.
Yeah.
Hold up, I'm gonna pull it up for you. Let me go.
Pull it up for me. And I might be able to find it, but it's in this book. But I'm trying to find it. But I know if I go to my my book, I know because I have it automatically pulled up in there because I talk about it too. But I'm trying to find it in here without having to go out. But yeah, go ahead and find it for me, Asar. Well, I'm still looking here too.
What you looking for, Kofi?
I'm trying to look for the papyrus that's dealing with, the Neteru's being, the eyes, the fingers, the legs, the arms. Man.
It comes to Amen. Here it is right here. Let me see. Scroll down to it.
I'll bear with you just 1 second.
Hey, is that I think that's in that Breathing Flesh Concepts book I got.
It probably is.
I think that you may be wanting to look in the coffin text or something.
Nuh-uh. It's right in the papyrus. Here it is right here. It's
okay.
Yes, the 90th chapter. The Theban Mysteries of Amen, the Purified Soul. And it says the Indian.
Where you reading from, Asar? What are you reading from this from the book of the Egyptian, the so-called Book of the Dead?
I just pulled it from a copy of the Laden Papyrus that has a few of the translations on here, just so they so they can hear it.
Okay, go ahead.
This is chapter 90. If y'all read it, and y'all can't read Medu, if you can, good. If you can't, then here it is. It says the Ennead, or the Pesejetu Enu, as y'all should start getting used to calling it, the Pesejetu Enu, or the Ennead from Heliopolis, combined is your body. Every nature joined in your body is your image. You emerged first. You inaugurated from the start. Amun, whose name is hidden from the Necheru, oldest elder, more distinguished than these Tatanen, who formed himself by himself as Ptah. The toes of his body are the 8. You know who the 8 are, right?
Mm-hmm.
See if they put this, if they know who the 8 are. They don't know who the 8 are. He appeared as Ra from noon, so that he might rejuvenate. He sneezed as Atum from his mouth and gave birth to Shu and Tefnu. Combined in manifestation, he appears on his throne as his heart prompts, who, through his power, rules for himself all that is, who binds together for himself the kingship forever, down to eternity, established as sole Lord. So right there, he said at the beginning, it said the Ennead combined is your body. So when we check Plutarch, and Plutarch makes his statements concerning what Amun is, before he gets to Asar and Aset, if you all read Plutarch thoroughly, he says this statement. He says, all things in existence are Amun. And they're telling you, the Ennead combined is your body. Every netur joined in your body is your image. So we know Plutarch is right concerning that. Remember, you have to check the Greek by the Remech. The Remech of the law, the Greek make a statement. You have to find it in the text over in the Remech society. Otherwise, it's just a statement. Just a statement from them, and it could be wrong, like they tried to demonize Geb later on. But that's a breakdown. Amun, whose name is hidden from the Necharu, oldest elder, more distinguished than these. Tatanin, who formed himself by himself as Ptah. His toes are the 8. The 8 are in Canoe.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. He's telling y'all. He appeared as Ra from noon so that he might rejuvenate. He sneezed as Atum. Now he becomes Atum. He sneezes, and his mouth gave birth to Shu and Tefnut. That sounds a lot different, don't it? And he jerked. He took himself in his hand, etc., etc.
Yeah, so people will misrepresent the creation stories a lot because they don't understand exactly what myths are. But it all ties back into the point that that we're making, and the reason why we're here is because studying Africa, the African cosmologies and mythological stories, it will put everything back into perspective. Like Asar said once before in a previous show that we all did, he said, start reading to your kids, man, the Egyptian mythologies out of the one book. I forget the name.
Well, I'm finna pull it off the shelf as soon as I remember exactly what the
book downstairs. Siobhan was reading it, and I was like, the very first one. You know, you get into a very familiar story, and I was like, you know, you can read these to Caleb because he needs to get some of them. Like, we were not read African centered story. Yeah, that's the book. We were not read these things as children, and we should incorporate reading them at night to our kids, or have our kids read them at least a few pages or a chapter, or refer back. Yes, that's the book right there, Kofi.
Gotta start home.
He has a lot of those stories that he's talking about and we're talking about in this book. I mean, it's a great book to have. I ain't mean to cut you off, Shawn. Hold on, let me go to.
Same. I always told you, when people say they didn't mean to cut you off, they did mean to cut you off.
He do it too.
Exactly. But he don't say, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. But here's some of the stuff in the context. Ra and his children.
Start at the beginning, Kofi. Start at the very first story. Let's deal with that.
That's it. It has at first it has the prologue, the land of Egypt. Then it goes into the tales of the gods, which is on page 3. It has Ra and his children, Isis and Osiris, Horus the Avenger, Kimnu of the Nile, the great queen of Hatshepsut, the prince and the Sphinx, the princess and the demon. Then it's tail magics. You got the golden lotus, Teti and the magician, the book of thought, see Osiris and the sealed letters, the land of the dead, the tales of the two brothers. We talked about that, I think, on a Seshu show before. I think, yeah, we did, because we did a transliteration of that. The ship, the story of the ship and the sailor. We touched about that, I think. Then we touched about that in the set shoot too, y'all. Then
Yeah, the shipwreck seller.
the adventures of Sinuhu. I think we talked about that. The peasant and the workman. The taking of the Joppa, the stories of the Greek princess, the treasure thieves, the girls with the rose red slippers. Good book for your children to have, but it's a good book for those that are beginners and want understand or know about some of those stories. So that's a good book as well. And it's by introductory by Michael Rose. Roger Lantris Green, and introduced by Michael Rose. The Tales of Ancient Egypt.
Good book.
Right there.
I mean, it's a good perspective because, you know, you didn't have to go to church to hear about the creation of Jesus and all of that. You know, people just knew about it. You know what I'm saying? Non-goers and goers. You know, because it's the state-sponsored religion, and really during the late 17th and 18th century, Christianity took over, and it boomed all over the world. Prior to that, it wasn't as heavy as people assume it to be and think that it was. And therefore, this narrative that is painted going into the 19th, 20th, and 21st century is one that has shaded African cosmologies and mythological stories. So we need to get back to that and understanding that and putting it into proper context. But we must know what a myth is before we assume that, you know, these people. That's why I gave you three different type of stories. I gave you one on an individual. I gave you, you know, we gave you one on with Seer and what some say. I said, I gave the one from out of Unc Banu's book, Avenging with Seer, and then we gave you one right off the Stele. So the Tabaka Stone. So we deal with it in a perspective that's helpful, and then the brothers are pointing out excellent points. You didn't have these people running around here, man, with ibis heads and looking like baboons and all of that, or lion heads or so on. They just represent something.
You're right. To be honest, you every day that the sun rises and sets, you go through the story.
Boom.
You don't even know it because you haven't read the mythos.
Right.
Every day, when the moon goes through its cycles through the 30 days, you go through the mythos every month, every minute. If I read, I'm gonna share something with you.
For instance, we can go to the Amduat right now. The sun's setting somewhere.
Yes,
we're about to be in hour one, and in some instances, some of us are entering hour one of the Amduat.
He's talking about the Neither World books, y'all. So
yes,
the Book of Acre is a good book to have for the Neither World. The Book of Gates, the Book of the Heavenly Cowl is another good book to have. Another good book. Also, hold on, let me show it to you.
Can somebody go in on where do we get these books from?
Yeah, I was gonna say go to sacred-text.com and you can pretty much get all these books for free.
I'm saying where do they get the content to put in these books?
What you mean, the text?
Yeah.
So like on Seti's ceiling, you can get this, you can get most of the creation story. The other part is in Ramses' tomb. So for instance, I have the Egyptian astronomical text, right? I have the 4-book series. It's about 5,000. You're not going to end up with that, but some of you might. I ain't going to knock your pocket. I'm just saying a lot of people, it's not your interest like that. But let's go into the text real quick so you can kind of get an idea of what this is. People don't understand when you look at the sun rising, that's young Heru. And when you see him in the middle of the day, that's adult Heru. And when he sets, that's old Heru. That's old Ra. And when he goes to night, he's back in Asar's hand. And then he rises and does this again. So let's look at the text. Let's look at the text. It says, this is text from plate 44. It says, He enters as this Scarabus. He comes into existence as he came into existence the first time on Earth in primeval time. When the sun rises, is just like the time of Zep Tepi. It goes further. It says he enters
First
as
time. Zep Tepi means first time for those that may not know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's the Egyptian Big Bang for the layman, right? He enters as this Scarabus. It is as this Scarabus that he enters. It is as this Scarabus that he goes to the sky. That is to say, the form of Kapara, which is in the picture. That is what the text means. It happens that it is in the form in which he rises in the sky. When he is strong, that he goes towards the Dua, confronting the rebels. He comes into existence like that to the first time on Earth in primeval time. You notice when the Remet speak, they like to repeat stuff. And then they like to make a play on the words. This is the one which, some is broken off, it is like the coming into existence for, and then the first time on Earth in primeval time that he comes into existence. That is to say, it was in the form of Kapara that he began to go to the sky in primeval time. He, at the first day in primeval time, the one in which he was completed at the beginning again, etc., etc. Then it goes into them describing him as the young Ra, etc., etc. So go read the text. Go read the text. Then you'll start to understand what's going on. Then you don't have to make anything up. It's already there for you. It's already there for you.
And the answer was,
this is how I knew, looking at the Dendera temple, that particular circular zodiac starts at Kenenmut. Because it tells you in plate 44, it says the life of the deacon Kenmut together with Ab and the deacon Shetah is the life of Horus. The rising of Kenmut together with Ab and Shetah is the rising of Horus. That is to say, the place where Kenmut rises is the Ka day, the place where Ab rises, or the place where the heart rises, the place where Ra rises. So it's telling you, but you have to go read the text. When you read the text, you can understand what you're looking at. You won't make stuff up. You'll just know.
Yeah, so the Amduwad for people to answer, you can find it, the oldest, Hatshepsut, 1470 BC. I like the Book of Gates, for instance, because the version that I actually have has the sesh, has the images, and it has the sesh in it, and then their translation. And before I even read it, Satep was like, I was looking at that version, and he goes and he translated himself, and there were some corrections in that can, that he has done on this text, as well as the Seshu have done on many of papyri of what Budge has transliterated and translated out of the Pertemeru, which he has gotten wrong and was a little bit too religious, I believe.
Hey, Shawn, so Shawn, you saying when you start reading that the Amduwad, you can see some inconsistencies in the translations, and just from you knowing the text now and reading the book.
Yeah, when I heard you speak on it the first time, like, let me see, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of got into it, and then I see some things, and then I'm like, nah, I was taught to do it this way, so this means something different, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you see it, you see it. It don't jump out to those who are unfamiliar to it. So some people they won't read the transliteration. They'll just go straight into the translation. But if they don't have the tools to go in and break down the sesh, which is what I like, and I'll give y'all an example for people. I don't know if you really can see my screen, but just to give you an example on what it looks like.
Hold on, Shawn. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to give y'all a good example of, if you could really see that,
Yeah, we can see it. We can see the sesh. We can see the
yeah, you see the transliteration and then the translation. So you can go behind a book like this. So we can take advantage of those things today, and we can correct a lot of that. And we can rewrite some of this stuff from our perspective. You know, because some people be like, well, these people are all doing this, that, and the third. Like, nah, man. When you have the primaries, and then if you think this isn't the primary on there, you can go look at the primary, and then you can match it up line for line, where to start, where to end.
They got the primary in the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's why
they got the primary, then they got the rendition of it, and then after the rendition, that's when they break it down.
So they go to a copy of the primary right there, and then the rendition, like he just said. So we can go, you know, one step.
Go back a little bit, Shawn. Go back a little bit so they can see it. It's kind of blue. Okay. All right. They can see it.
Yeah, the primary and then the rendition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they did an excellent job on my edition of the Amduat.
I had the same.
Yeah, by giving me an opportunity to go back, and if I want to just go through the whole book that way, and like Satep, I think he went through the whole book. I don't know, I might be wrong, or he might have stopped. Like I think he stopped like chapter 7 or 8.
No, I read the whole. I read that, and I read the Book of Gates. I read both of them.
I did too. I read that and the book of Acre.
I'm gonna all y'all out. I read that. I read the Book of Earth. Then I pulled my telescope out, and then I studied the areas in the sky. No.
But you know, and
that's
people
where
that, and people that, you know, I recommend if you're gonna get the books that has the sesh in it. And what we mean by sesh, we're talking about the hieroglyphs. See, we can go back. That's why we tell you it's important to learn the language and the writing script, the sesh, metanetter, and the language, the Rani Kemet. So you can go and we can point these things out. Like when we get books, we can actually look at the sesh. You know, most of us, that's what we do first. We look at the transliteration, and then we look at the sesh, the transliteration, and then the translation. So when we look at the sesh, we can read the sesh for ourselves, and then, you know what I'm saying, the translation may be worded a little bit different. What I mean by the translation may be worded a little bit different. You may have some people that let's use the word necher, and some people may transliterate that, or I mean, some people may translate that as the great God. Now, if I'm doing a translation and I see necher, I'm going to my translation is going to be a little bit different. We reading it from the same section, but my translation is going to be a little bit different. I may not use the word God. I may use the word. I may phrase it as the same as the necher, the great necher. You know what I'm saying? The great divine. I may not use the word God. So it just all depends on who translating what, but we look at the sesh first, and then we can come back and see if, you know, we need to make changes to some of the things. So we don't have to go off of European interpretations. We don't have to go off just looking at a picture and then assuming something because we can read it. So that's why it's important. And these books that he's talking about with Brother Asar and Brother Satep and Shawn was talking about, when we dealing with the underworld or we dealing with the neither world, they mentioned the word dua, the dua. So, and we talk about the possession of the sun and so forth. If you can afford all these books that we're talking about, and it's many of the neither world books, this is one book here. If you can see, let me see if I can adjust my lighting where it ain't too terrible. Because in this room the lighting kind of terrible. But the book is called The Ancient Egyptian Book of the Afterlife by Herit Honkner. And I have a few other this brother books. A German.
He ain't no brother.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. I know he goddamn German. I know he white man is.
You ain't gonna say God. Hey, you ain't gonna say God. You ain't gonna say God. I ain't let you call him a brother either.
Well, he ain't a brother. He's not a brother. He's a German. No, I'm sorry. And but anyway, in this book he has, I'm gonna just read some of the books. He has the Amduat, the Spell of the 12 Calves, the Book of Gates that we're talking about, the Igmagnic, a book of the Neither World, the Book of Kavna, which is a great book I have read, of the Book of Earth, I hadn't read that one, the Book of Newt, the book of day, the book of night, the lengthies of Ra, which I talk about in my book, and I talk about in my 75 Names of Ra presentation on this channel. The book of the Heavenly Cow I mentioned a while ago. All of these, the book of Acre I mentioned a while ago. These are a lot of the neither worlds that's dealing with what they were just talking about. So if you don't have the money to buy all those books right now, because some of those books are $100, $90, or a little bit more. I don't know how much I paid for this book. I done had it for a few years now, so I don't know what it's going. It was cheap. I might have paid about 20, 25 bucks for this book, but it has a lot of the books, and it has a lot of the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It has a lot of the scenes.
I'm holding on to. The book I'm holding on to like $180.
Right.
What's
so
that?
some of those.
The copy of the Book of Gates that I had on Amazon was $180.
Oh yeah, I ain't cheap.
Yeah, see, we didn't get that discount that we didn't get. I didn't pay exactly $180 for it, but I paid over $100 and some for it. Satep got the book at a cheap price. I think Satep got it for like right at $100. When it's Satep.
No, Kofi, you didn't let me finish. Guess how much I paid for the book?
How much you pay for it?
Absolutely nothing. Woo! I got the book.
Wow. Well,
we gonna ask you offline how you did that.
No. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. My job. Kofi knows. Yeah. Man, I was just flipping through some stuff in my job, and I seen the Amduwat text. I was like, what is this doing in, you know what I'm saying, in my job's library? And I had some points. So based on the amount of points that you earn on the job, you know what I'm saying, from stuff that you get, you can get books off the website or whatever. You can, you know, they got these little points you can go on there and you can shop. Well, since I had the points, that's how I got it. Man, I got this thing, man. I ran around in circles.
Man.
I was like, boy, I escaped over $100-some for the text.
Yeah, that's good shit, man. But let me say this real quick. The reason why I asked that question, I was leading into something. The reason why I asked that question is because all this text that we talking about come from right in that valley that I'm getting ready to present on. Come right in that valley of Kings.
You're right.
All that come up out of there. So if anybody wanted to know that, all that text, the Book of Gates, Underworld, the Book of Cavern, all that stuff, it comes right out of the temples and tombs, or not the temples and tombs, but it comes right out of the Valley of the Kings.
Sadi and Ramsey.
I'm gonna be going into that.
See, and I'm gonna go into the mythos. I'll probably do it tonight. I might do it next week. But when I go into the mythos, we're gonna talk about is mythos real? Is it science or is it myth? Right?
Ooh.
And when you is it fake?
What is it gonna be on?
So
what is
gonna make Heck in the chair. Y'all know y'all might as well come on there with me. Y'all ain't got to get on my joint with me before. So
I'm there.
Y'all got to be on it.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
And when we go into it, we're gonna talk, number one. I'm gonna give you a
so bad. But I'm gonna wait.
We're gonna go deep. We're gonna go in deep. And then I'm gonna read the verse. I'm gonna point to you what they're talking about, and then I'm gonna read another portion from the book of Coming Forth by Day, showing you the myth that explains what they just explained in the other myth, which is pointing to the scientific facts. It won't be disputed because it ain't nothing you could do about it. But say, yeah, these brothers got science. So people talk like, oh, they got science, but they don't show the science. People talk like, oh, it's just myth. It's not fact. But you read the myth and it's alluding to something in real life. So we're going to make the connection for you. And that's going to be that. I might do it. See, you did this show already, Kofi, right here. So I'm thinking I should probably do it for next week and get on that head next week, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, let me know. I'm in there. We in there. We in there.
Let them sit on this a little bit. Cause they'll go back and review the first little 33 minutes or 30 minutes. I wasn't long, about 20 or 30 minutes. So that'll give them an opportunity to kind of go back and get an understanding of what a myth is, and then when you get into the science behind the myth, it's gonna be pretty good because
Well, damn, you just gave him the answer, Shawn. He just asked the question. He didn't. You gave the damn answer.
They still gotta see it to believe.
Yeah, you gotta see how it works.
Yeah, man.
Just guess lookership, because lookership is dying. We're killing it. I stabbed it last week. My brothers just stabbed it today. Lookership is dead. If you don't know what you're talking about, this is not the don't make it up. That ain't no shot at my brother on the panel or on the chat either. That's not a shot at you. I'm just saying, stop making it up. There's text for it. Go study the text, because one of us will get a hold of your video and make an example out of you, not to disrespect you, but to tell you this right. I heard some brother did something on Noon, the letter Noon, and then me and Kalam went into the Noon from the Muslim factions sector and where they got it from, because we know where they got it from. We know how Noon works. We knew the text that brought you to the Noon. So we don't make stuff up. Don't make it up. Noon is holding up Shu. See, Shu is holding up the boat of Ra, and that's the way the letter's drawn. Don't do that. You don't have any text for that.
Gotta have a text to support it.
Yeah. Gotta have it. Am I still muted? Boss, I just sent the link, man. And I don't know if you still in here or not. You know, you could have jumped on. I just sent a link to your inbox, and all you had to do was just click on the link, and it should have brought you in there. You said you had never worked it before, but we gonna probably talk about a few more minutes, man, and we gonna get up off here. My brother wanted the video to be short, but I wanted to kind of build a little bit after the show about what he talked about and go a little bit in depth. So if you still want to join the panel for a few minutes and ask a question, bro, Vasa, man, you can jump in here if you want. I put it in your Facebook Messenger. Yeah. But we've been on
Kofi.
Wow, what's up?
Nothing. We almost 2 hours.
You a story, is we?
Yeah, it's about an hour. We at an hour and a half right now.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, we gonna go and wrap it up. We gonna go and wrap
I was 30 minutes.
Yeah. I understand, but the people want, I know the people, y'all appreciate it, don't you?
Everybody put a #1 in the chat if y'all want us to keep going.
y'all appreciate it, don't you? Y'all appreciate it.
I want to read something
right now, brother.
I want to read some of you. I want y'all to tell me what y'all how you would translate it. I'm gonna read the transliteration. I ain't showing y'all no sesh, and then y'all tell me what your translation would be. Duwati, Hekanu Ra, Jaju.
Yeah, man, you gonna have to show me some text, because y'all boys down south, man. Y'all got that little. Y'all don't be.
Come on, man.
Accent.
So if I say Duwati, what do you say? Just Duwati.
So you saying Duwati with the T on the end?
Yeah, see, that's where he done throw me out with when he said.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you the glyphs. Right. Okay, you got the star, you got the praise star, you got the bread loaf.
But we know praise to Ra. You said Hekanu Ra, so we know what that is. I know Hekanu Ra because I used to
know what Hekanu Ra is.
Praise Ra.
Yeah, and then you have the last thing that I said was the forearm with the hand under. So I mean that's
Henek. Yeah, that's to give.
Right.
It's like and I can't
right. But he got a adorer.
He got a what?
Adorer.
Man, show it. It's it's on you.
What page you on? What book and page you on though?
I'm in the Book of Gates. I'm in the Book of Gates. Page 32.
People on the panel may have, people in the chat may have that book. We ain't the only ones with that book. So say the page number.
We the ones. We the only ones. Chad, they looking at us right now like, man, come on, make it happen. Can y'all see that clear?
If you stop moving it, we can.
Bring it back. It's blurry.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I see it. That's good. That's good. It's know you're a little nervous, but yeah, I see it. He said he has Adora. Okay.
Yeah. But we wouldn't translate it like that.
And see, that's what we were talking about by understanding. That's what we look at first. Most people go straight to the translation into English. We gonna go straight to the session, look at the session before we translate it. But
you know what's even crazier? I'm gonna go real quick. Like let's look at Setepen Ra's name, right? But you have a Hittite translation which brings vowels out. So Setepen Ra, his name is technically, it would be like Washmuaria Shetep Naria. Now, the W, the W, which we call an R in the Medu Netra, translates to a W. And when you say it in the Hittite language and they're writing to Ramses when they do it, this is after the battle. This is the Battle of Kadesh. That's why I'm bringing this up here. But they translate the name over in that fashion. Like we say Ramesu Meri Amun, and they translate it and they speak it Ria Mashisha Miyamana, which sounds closer to Armana and what have you. And then Washmuaria Shetap Naria would be how you pronounce his name supposedly, at least from the Hittite breakdown. And remember, they're writing to the Remech when they do that with vowels. That's a whole nother animal, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Well, family, we gonna get ready to close out, man, and conclude the show. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, man. I appreciate well, I appreciate it. You know, he know I appreciate it, man. My brother Herit, Shawn, Khalfani for coming on. You know, I appreciate my brother Satep. I appreciate my brother Asar. Asar also Asar MK, he also has a channel. Asar, give him your YouTube channel, man. Give him your, and you gotta start coming. You gotta start looking in your chat too, man. I'll be in your chat. Sometimes you won't even look.
I'm sorry, family. I'm gonna just invite y'all on. I'm gonna start putting the link in the Hekenu in the chair. So as the brother said earlier, he said Hekenu. Hekenu means praise, right? So Hekenu, HKN, and then new word NTR, Heken the chair, praise the divine. And you can also join us on Facebook, Hekenu HKNW, new word Netshare, NTR, RNETER, should bring us up. Come through, fall through. Come kick it with your boy. Remember when you go into the Per Ankh, the Heck in the Chair Per Ankh on Facebook, if you post something, it's got to be spiritual and keep it clean. Keep it clean. There's plenty of chats where you can throw a lot of cursing and craziness on there. When you come in there, make sure you're spiritual, make sure you're pure, make sure it's clean. All right. And me tap to the chat.
All right, hold on 1 second. I want to share my screen on something. Bro Vasa, I didn't get a chance to look at it last night. Let me read what he says. He says, can you show Tutu the article one, new or her being here stateside and possibly her story back in Kemet? Yeah, we was talking last night and he was saying that it was her in if I'm saying it right, when was in she's in a museum in Oklahoma now, right, Vasa? That's what we was talking late last night. Hold on, let me show it real quick before we get up off here and close out. Look at it because I never heard of Tutu before. She go by Tutu. I never heard of Tutu, and I didn't know that her in the uh, in Oklahoma. Is this, you know, is it not pseudo? I mean, what's going on with it? Because I mean, when he asked me about Tutu, I said I never heard of the name Tutu, and I just trying to make sure. Vasa, you see if you still in here, man. Hold on? Can y'all see my screen? Hold on.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back. I was already on it then. Okay. Okay. So y'all can see this up here. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Can
we
y'all
see
see
it.
these?
We see it.
Okay, this is from Oklahoma's News 4. And let's see, I'll play this real quick. Because I never heard of before. Like I said, no, he asked me about it. I couldn't elaborate on it because
Well, St. Anthony's Shawnee Hospital received 2 new patients today who haven't been feeling well. And through modern intelligence and radiologists hope to discover new information about the people under the bandages. From our mobile newsroom, usually Kringen has the story.
hold on, can the people see my screen?
This mummy from the Roman
I think I don't. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, put the screen on yours. I just see a SAR.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, hold on.
Small screen. You just had to double click.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just say presents to everybody. Let me go back. Oh man. Oh, y'all.
He also believed in an afterlife.
Both mummies are displayed
Hold on, I'm gonna go back. Try to go back. So shoot if it let me.
in the Maybe Gare Museum of Art.
We do believe that in their own way they sought the truth. Lord, hear our.
On this load, and I probably got so much thing over. I ain't got that old powerful.
Mobile newsroom. News Channel 4's Ashley Kringen has the story.
I'm trying to go back.
Tutu, the Egyptian mummy, is 2,400 years old. This mummy from the Roman era does not have a name, a mystery curious studiers hope to solve.
They also believed in an afterlife.
Both mummies are displayed in the Maybe Gare Museum of Art.
We do believe that in their own way they sought the truth. Lord, hear our prayer. We ask you now
the mummies were blessed
to preserve
by monks before being secured in climate-controlled boxes, then sent to St. Anthony's Shawnee Hospital for x-rays.
We think Tutu's internal organs were taken out, mummified, and then returned to the chest cavity. But 20-some years ago, those were just shadows. Now we should know for certain.
Ensuring the mummy's security took a volunteer team. They even got a police escort to lower the risk of an accident on the road. After arrival at the ER, gurneys were used to deliver them to the 64-slice CT scanner.
He or she has waited a long time for this.
Radiologists hope to confirm the sex of the mummies. They think they're female.
They build a 3D model of it. And previously that wasn't possible just because the resolution wasn't there.
Since they're mummies, high-dose radiation won't harm them, allowing an in-depth peek inside.
Every new technology, when we ask new questions, objects tell us new stories. So we learn and we learn.
In Shawnee News Channel 4.
Hopefully more info on that will be coming. The mummies, the transports, pots. Everyone involved,
My bad, y'all.
Others will be studying
I heard it though.
about the
Let me
mysterious
click off of
past
that.
of Tutu and the Roman.
My bad, y'all. I'm trying to share it in the group. Let me well, I'm gonna stay sharing. Well, anyone of y'all heard about hold on, let me go back to this. Anybody y'all heard about Tutu?
I ain't heard about that one.
Yeah. He said they've been housing mummies here in Oklahoma for a long time. Gotta remember 1920 when Kemet became a social craving in the US to rich people. So I hadn't heard about that neither. I'm gonna post it in there in a minute before we when we get ready to get off, so y'all can go look at it, because I want to go read that read what they have too, and do a little bit more research on Tutu.
Tutu.
Hold on, y'all. Real quick, I just want to share something else with the fam. Real quick. Um, we just knocked out another one. Presentations coming to the Kofi Pie Side TV to my channel. Shawn did a good presentation on understanding the myth from African perspective. He did that a few minutes ago, and we just build on that. Satepan Ra did one last week on. So if you hadn't checked out the Battle of Kadesh, go check that one out. Uh, tell a friend and tell a friend about that presentation. Tell a friend and tell a friend about this presentation Shawn did tonight. Next week I'm gonna come back and do, I don't know the time yet. I'm gonna discuss it off air with Shawn about something. Um, African hair presentation. It's coming next week on Kofi Paisa TV, but I'll be promoting it and let y'all know. I'm excited. I'm like really excited about this presentation. I'm going to bring out a lot of information and a lot of pictures about African hair and how prideful we should be with our African hair and what went wrong with us self-hating ourselves for as our dark hue color and our kinky texture hair. But I'll talk more about that in that presentation, man. It's gonna be a good presentation. I think y'all gonna enjoy it. So that's coming up. Then be looking forward to Jahudi Bach Ma'ak. He's still in the presentation. He's still in the chat. I think he goes by T'Challa now. He's gonna be doing one the week after that called Repro. I'm saying the week after. I'm assuming the week after because we gotta lock these times in. The reprogramming of the African American mind. A brief analysis of the Euros. Man, I can't even hardly read that, and I got my glasses on. But the reprogramming of the African American mind. So be looking forward for that coming on Kofi Pasa TV. Satepara, who's also on the panel, who did the Battle of Kadesh presentation, his first presentation he did last week, which was a good presentation. He's going to be coming back. He's going to be talking about the brief summary into the Valley of the Kings here. And we're going to determine the date, and that's coming real soon, maybe next week also. African Americans, ethnics of national origin. Don't want to mispronounce my brother's name. He used to go by Pan the Hesse, but he goes by another name now. So be on the lookout for that brother presentation on that channel as well as Sin June. As soon as I get something from Sin June, he's also a member of the Seshuma Ani Nedra group. We might have to go to Seattle and sit him down at a computer and make him do something.
Come on.
But be looking forward, hopefully, for something from him in the next few weeks, as well as Vasa Nicolo Gullah gonna be doing something on piggybacking off some information I did with the Gullah. He's gonna be going to do some his own field research over there in Oklahoma, because we know a lot of the Gullah people, who they call the Black Seminoles, ended up in Oklahoma doing the Indian Removal Act. The Native Americans, the Black Seminoles, was pushed into Oklahoma before they went to Texas and Mexico. So he's gonna be doing some building on that. And I think it's called Blacks Have More Than These Walls of the Streets. How Oklahoma had more than Black Wall Streets and was going to be, I guess was going to be all black states. I may be turning the man name up, but he has it in the chat if y'all want to look at what the name of his presentation, which is probably almost at the end of September. But those are some presentations that are coming to Kofi Paisa TV. So tune in, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Tune back in next week for the Africans Hair presentation. It's gonna be a good one. Also coming soon to the Master Warrior Clan YouTube channel. Uh, Tanzania and Mozambique, Makandi people, master carvers, and slave resistant tribe. So I'll be talking about the Makandi people in East Africa, in Tanzania, as well as Mozambique, and talk about their culture, how they are master carvers, how they have built wealth by being some of the top master carvers in Africa, and talk about some of the slave resistant tribes, because they, as well as we talk about the Masi later on, having foreigners come in, but they always resisted religion. These people were too, but they removed themselves and went into, we'll talk about one of the plateaus, or a couple of the plateaus that they actually went into, and some of the booby traps and the mazes that they had in order to even get to the plateaus to reach where these people were. So that's going to be a powerful presentation as well. And on the Masi, it's coming soon. Also, Shawn gonna have to tell you the name, because I don't want to tear the name up of this presentation. So
Only on
Shawn,
IG and on the T. Aseki. Owners of the door of prosperity. That's all you need to know.
Owners
And
of the door of prosperity.
I don't know if I'll be able to present this, because I will be on an airplane, or I should be getting back by 3:30 our time. So if anything, I may do it if Kofi's available at 4:30 ish, something like that. I don't know, or
You a rock star, man.
Kofi can go in and do his thing, and then I just follow up the week after that.
We'll talk after the air. We'll talk off the air, man.
You gonna go next week?
We gonna talk after the air, man.
No, man, I ain't got time.
Whatever. But all right, y'all.
Beat up my time.
Whatever.
Crazy.
Whatever. But anyway, please go subscribe to the Seshuma Seshuma ID Metaneta channel. Please go subscribe to Kofi Paisai TV channel. Please go subscribe to Masi Warrior Clan channel. Also go subscribe to my brother Asar M. Makar YouTube channel. Asar, give your name or your YouTube channel again for the family out there.
There's the Asarim Ka YouTube, and then there's the Heck in the Chair. HKN, new word NTR. Heck in the Chair.
So please go support us. That's all we asking. We're not asking much from the family. We just asking for support. We're not asking for you to go to a PayPal and PayPal us for some money. Just support us. That's all we asking for. So please support, subscribe, and tell a friend. Also, continue to check out our website, the Seshuma Ani Meta Netter website. If you want to take the classes for the Seshuma Meta Netter, this is the website you can go to. The books are on here. The Beginner's Introduction of Meta Netter, the Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyph System, is the textbook for the class. So if you need any information for that, inbox me, the Tepin Ra, who's on the panel, Shawn, or any other member of the Seshuma Ani Meta Netter, or you can message Sabo Wujao directly for instructions on how to enroll for the classes. The other content is on the page, as well as our transliterations and translations of glyphs, as well as other publications. So please check out. And also, if you enroll to the class, $5, not $5, $10 to the website, you will also be available to some of the updates to get free PDF books off of the website. Also, go check out Sabre University, which is an educational course for career and interest. You can make money if you want to make money off of teaching. So get with Sabre Wujao. He can give you the, I guess, go through whatever he need to go through in order for you to get on there, or if you qualify to even get on here. It's a website set up as Coursera. Some of us are familiar with Coursera. Coursera offer a lot of free classes online that's set up where you have professors that come in and teachers that come in and give you certain assignments to do for the classes, and you get graded on the class. So support. On that note, we out of here, family. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and supporting us. We out. Shimim Hotel.
Peace.
Knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived them of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
Raising my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I share. Bring purple underhanded, I share. 5 different. I'm raising my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I share. Bring purple underhanded, I share. 5 different.